Hello again, my Barbra friends. It's Allie Waldman here Sundays with Allie for the Barbra Streisand Videocast, April 15th, 2012. Hope you're all doing well. I know I am. I don't think you can tell, but my hair is I think the chemo is starting to make my hair a little thin. Hopefully it doesn't show too much. I see it in my brush. Hopefully it's not showing up on the videos. So keep your fingers crossed that this is as far as we go with losing the hair. But we had a pretty interesting Barbra week, and I thought I'd review it with you guys, share what I know, and do a little Barbra talking, Barbra yapping as we do, okay? Let's start with the article that came out over the weekend about Guilt Trip, the Guilt Trip. It was only in some Canadian news service. Maybe they were interested in writing an article about the movie because Seth Rogen apparently is from Vancouver, so therefore he's a quote-unquote native son. And the story basically talked about the fact that they changed the name of the movie from My Mother's Curse to The Guilt Trip because the title didn't test well. Now we know there were at least 6 test screenings that we know of, that we had people, fans, report back to me who went to it. And yes, they were asked about the title. My guess is that while My Mother's Curse ties in very well with the screenplay that Dan Fogelman wrote, it invoked in people the idea that it was a negative story, that it was something pejorative, that Barbara's character had cursed her son. And so the guilt trip is, well, it may be a little bit more generic and maybe a little bit more comedy-inducing, probably works better. And they probably could market it better. So it's called the Guilt Trip, and I really hope people will understand that changing the name doesn't mean anything. I mean, after all, the original title of For Pete's Sake was July Pork Bellies. Yes, July Pork Bellies. So stupid titles get out there all the time. And My Mother's Curse wasn't necessarily a stupid title, but it didn't really work with audiences. So rather than change the movie, which apparently they did not really change very much at all from the test screenings, they just decided to change the title. So I can live with that. Now, as for where's the trailer, where's the teaser, where's the poster, I think it's coming, guys. I know I say this every week, but I just noticed that a September movie, the poster is up on IMDb. So if we could speculate that in April they have the poster for a September comedy with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, then we can extrapolate from that maybe in May or June we'll have the poster, the trailer, and the teaser for the Guilt Trip. Somebody mentioned this to me, and it actually, a couple of people mentioned it to me, that May is the perfect time, that they might even, since it is about a mother-son relationship, they could put it out for Mother's Day weekend, and that might be the perfect place to, attach the trailer. The problem is I don't see a lot of comedies between now and the summer for Paramount. I mean, so I'm not sure what movie they might attach it to. Hopefully they'll pick out something good, though, because I don't know about you guys, but I remember going to see the movie Brainstorm with Natalie Wood and Christopher Walken just to see the Yentl trailer. So, we're crazy like that. We'll go see a movie just to see the trailer. I think I did that also with Nuts. I think I went to see a movie with Michael Caine and Sally Field. It was a terrible comedy, but I sat through the movie because I had to see the Nuts trailer. That's what we're like, guys. We want to see Barbra. Now, of course, the great thing now is when a trailer comes out, we don't necessarily have to go to the movies anymore because it will show up on Access Hollywood or The Insider or online. It'll show up on YouTube. It'll show up on IMDb. So I think we're going to be okay. So just keep tuning in every Sunday. I will let you know as soon as I know for certain. And I did do a shout out via Twitter to Paramount asking them, where the heck is the Barbra Streisand Seth Rogen movie The Guilt Trip trailer and poster? So maybe if you guys have Twitter, you could do the same thing. Just go to Paramount Pictures. You can do a search on Twitter and ask them. Maybe if they get enough requests, they'll put something out. Now, the ongoing buzz about Gypsy is ongoing. I can tell you for a fact that they are working on it daily. There are people working on it. There are conversations being had. There are, people being discussed casting-wise. There are definitely down to just a couple of candidates for directing. And Barbra is not directing. Don't be confused. Barbra will not be directing this movie. Everything I heard says no, she doesn't want to direct. She wants to act. She wants to play Mama Rose, Madame Rose. She does not want to direct, but she is actively producing. So whoever she gets is going to be somebody that she feels very, very good about, somebody she could really collaborate with, and somebody who I think will be a really, dynamic choice. I'm not hearing any of the run-of-the-mill folks for this position. I'm hearing only really top-notch people. So we should know soon. Also, I'm hearing that there is work being done on the 12 DVD set. Maybe something, we're going to get a little announcement at the end of April. I think Release Me, the CD of all the stuff from the vault, is also being, talked about, worked on. Don't know any details, but at least we know that, something's coming. Something good. Okay? Now, we had a really interesting thing this past week happen. Barbra issued a truth alert. Now, somebody mentioned on the Barbra board, do we really care about Barbra's truth alerts? Well, I do. I do because if she cares enough to do a truth alert, if she cares enough to set the record straight about something, then we should care enough to read it. Because the truth alerts come directly from Barbra. They're not written by Dick Gutman, her public relations person. They're not written by somebody in the office. Marty doesn't write them. Barbra actually writes and approves them herself. And if it's important enough for her to put out a truth alert, then I think as fans it should be important enough for us to read it. Now, this past week's truth alert I think was brilliant because 2 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago, the National Enquirer put out a story about Barbra. There was a cover photo, a small cover photo of her, and it talked about a situation between her and Jason. If you looked inside, and hopefully you did not buy this piece of crap, if you looked inside, you saw a picture of a man who they were identifying as Jason, and it was not Jason. And I knew it wasn't Jason, and I was waiting and waiting for Barbra to issue the truth alert saying that is not Jason. So, if nothing else, the truth alert set the record straight that they had the wrong picture of Jason Gould, and whoever that curly-haired, straight-jawed guy was, he was not Jason. Okay? Okay. Now, upcoming, we have a little Brooklyn news. On April 28th, Rosalind Kind is going to be singing in Brooklyn. She'll be at Brooklyn College, and she'll be doing her show. And that's it for the latest on the Brooklyn front. Now, whether or not Barbra's still thinking of doing Brooklyn, we got to wait and see. We got to see what happens. But I think, again, I'm hearing that it's still a possibility. Now, tonight, I must have West Side Story on my mind. Something's coming tonight. Tonight, 60 Minutes here in America is going to do a 1-hour tribute to Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace, of course, we know, passed away last Sunday. The news came out on Monday. And Mike Wallace had a very interesting intersection with Barbra Streisand. in that they worked together early in Barbara's career in 1961 when she was a guest, I think 19 times on PM East, a show that he hosted in New York. And it was sort of her entree to New York television. And she sang, and she was a very provocative guest. She always said interesting things. And obviously they liked her because they asked her back 19 times. Well, then 30 years later, Barbara was a guest on 60 Minutes, as we all know, and got into a rather heated altercation with Mike Wallace, which now historically is one of the most famous interviews he ever did. And I know for a fact that tonight on that TV special, you're going to see footage of Barbara and Mike. So if you're curious, tune in, and you'll probably see great images of Barbara from 1991. She looked amazing. But you'll also probably see her crying because Mike Wallace made her cry by asking her very personal questions about her mother. Now, before I wrap this up, I just thought I'd share something with you because I love sharing stuff with you. Mike on the Barbara board, Wicker Man, happened to ask a question the other night about whether or not Superman had ever been released as a single. And he wanted to know whether me or Matt knew the answer. So, I don't know, Matt was busy this weekend. He didn't answer the question, but I did. And I went to one of my go-to sources for research, and I'm going to show you what it is. These binders, you see these big binders, are my Barbara binders. This is the data that I was working on with Michael Parento. I don't know how many people you remember who remember Michael Parento. He was a wonderful fan and a very, very sweet guy and a very talented researcher. Michael and I were working on a Barbara book for about 5 years, and then the company that was going to publish it went out of business. So Michael and I never got to make our book. I used a lot of the information eventually in the Barbra Streisand scrapbook, but there's even more in these binders. And so every now and then somebody asks a question about release dates on a single or recording information or magazine stuff, and I got the information. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with all this information, how I can make it more available to people, because, you know, it's pretty damn cool. You know, it's a lot of good stuff here. So, what do you guys think? I was actually thinking of doing a website, calling it, you know, the Barbra Streisand Expert or the Barbra Streisand Encyclopedia, and kind of putting myself out there as the Barbra Streisand expert, so that when shows are doing a Barbra Streisand story, they can actually talk to me, who has been studying Barbra for, you know, almost 40 some odd years, to get the correct information. Of course, they could also go to Matt Howe at Barbara Archives, and they do. But, you know, a lot of people don't know where to go for the information. And also, I was thinking of taking some of this stuff and putting it on that website. So, share your thoughts with me, folks. Do you think it's a good idea? I could also probably put these videos on a new website, and then they would all be in one place so everybody could see them. And so tell me what you think. Oh my goodness, I've talked 13 plus minutes this time. So instead of going on and on and on, I'm going to end it now. And I'm going to ask for your feedback and your thoughts. And obviously, I'm going to ask you to come back next week because we'll have more news. We'll be one week closer to Barbara's birthday. And I already have my plans, which I'm going to tell you about next week. And until then, this is Allie Waldman. And this is Sundays with Allie, the Barbra Streisand Videocast for April 15th. And I'm signing off. See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.